get, SK? How good does it get, SK?
Why not us, Charlie?
Today, live from the Pinecrest Inn, it's the Smylie Show. So long, everybody.
This is the Smylie Show.
It is officially PGA Championship week, and we are headed to a venue that Smylie and I don't know a ton about. We'd like to learn about it. As I've noted on the show a number of different times, I'm a little bit of a Donald Ross nerd, but this is an opportunity to learn a lot more about Aronimink, and who better to do it with than Gil Hanse, who worked alongside his partner Jim Wagner on this venue between 2016 and 2017. And Gil, we've talked about some other courses in previous conversations, just more southern courses, Pinehurst, Seminole, things like that. But this is sort of a different proposition, a northeast of Philadelphia-based course. And so where I'd like to start on this is similar to where we've had other discussions, but just when you're researching, you mentioned researching each of these architects and Donald Ross, like it's not necessarily as much about the architect himself and the sort of stereotypical work, but what he did at a specific location. So what did Donald Ross do at Aronimink that's maybe different from other conceptions we have about his work as a whole?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's great to be on with you guys. The thing that he did there was super bold. Like, I've never seen him build bunker complexes the way he did. A lot of, there's a lot of his bunker complexes are big singular bunkers, maybe two joined together. And here there were like all threes and fours. Like, so instead of having one bunker, he built four bunkers. Instead of having a bunker, he built three bunkers. And I've never seen it. And it's an interesting thing when you talk about research and you talk about what he built and what he drew. What he drew was completely different. Like, it was one bunker. But what he built, when you look at the aerial photographs, there were three. And it raised the question of, okay, did he really do that? Or did somebody, J.B. McGovern, one of his associates, do it? McGovern was from Philadelphia, so he was there. He was actively involved in Aronimink. And there's this cool old video of Donald Ross actually on the property, walking around. And it's like, how those kind of stop motion kind of, he's like, it looks like he's kind of funny, but it's him. And you can see the bunker as clear as day. So either he accepted it and embraced it, or he was the one who came up with it. So when we saw that, we looked at all the photos. There's a great architectural or an aerial photographer. His last name is Dolan, of the Dolan collection. The guy worked for a company who flew all over Philadelphia and did aerial photographs in the 20s and the 30s. The guy was a golf nut, right? So he always took an extra can of film and he shot all the golf courses in the area. And so not only do you have like downtown Philadelphia and all the things that he was hired to go and do, he did all this stuff on his own. And so this Philadelphia area is this treasure trove of great old photographs, aerial photographs, and Aronimink has a ton of them. So we were able to reconstruct, okay, what did he do? How did he put it together? And then we brought this to the membership and said, we'd really like to go down this road. It's unique, it's interesting, and the character is completely different for Ross, but we think it'll help set Aronimink apart. And I think it's a really important part of the architectural piece. Coming into Philadelphia, I mean, Ross was a competitive guy, right? He was a competitive golfer, he was a professional golfer, but he also was competitive when it came to his architecture. I mean, there's the stories, he was very upset he didn't get Augusta National, so he went after Seminole hammer and tongs because he was like, this is my chance to get something great and to do something on the ocean. And, and he went after that. I think there's a part of me that believes on and on manufacturers. And so Flynn had all these big, high flashed white faces, beautiful, elegant bunkering. And I'm not sure that here comes Ross in the late 20s. Aronimink's an established club, but they're moving to a new place. And it's kind of, it's a big club in Philadelphia. And he wants to put an exclamation point on this new property. And I think there's probably some kernel of truth. Is not great. It's generally pretty heavy and a lot of clay. And generally there's these valleys that cut through it. And that's what Aronimink is set up. There's a valley and then there's a couple of things that feed off of it and some really nice long slopes. And I think in its original design, before they planted all the trees in the 30s and 40s, it was a big ballpark, right? And you could look across the landscape. And I think having all of these, landmarks out there in the bunkering was a reflection of the scale of the place. And so I think it really helped to set it apart and make it more identifiable as you look through it. And it's set up the visuals for the golf holes. The green complexes are phenomenal. I mean, as pretty close to as good a set of Ross greens as you're going to find anywhere. So he just looked at this as big ballpark, big setting, greens set beautifully in the landscape. It's not a piece of land that you would just say, oh yeah, it's one of the best pieces of land that ever a golf course has ever been put on, but it's definitely right up there with one of the best pieces in the Philadelphia region. And I think Philadelphia has been blessed with such great architecture that having Ross come into that landscape and put it in its place, put Aronimink in that place, was part of just a recognition of how great everything else was in the area.
In so many restoration projects now, Gil, you find that many clubs are having to cut down a lot of trees for whether it be for good grass growth, or maybe it's just to open up the property. I think of many golf courses that have recently gone to this. So it sounds like to me with Aronimink, that is kind of the visual of the place. I'm curious, were trees a part of this golf course and how it was set up, or just distinctly having some trees out there as like points of emphasis around the property?
Yeah, I think the trees were not a big part of the course. They were planted and it's really clear. The Dahlin photographs, you see the original golf course, and then by the 30s and 40s, it was like somebody had a fire sale on white pines, and there were just all of a sudden there were all these little trees everywhere around there. And so I think it was whatever the time where trees got put in there. We look at it through a couple of lenses, right? I mean, you mentioned agronomy, right? Trees have zero agronomic benefit for turf grass. I mean, they take everything the grass needs and wants, air, light, and water, and they do a much better job of it. Think about the root structure of a tree versus the root structure of turf. So we try to provide the best growing conditions for superintendents to be able to thrive in. And every member has high expectations for turf. So you need to err on the side of turf. Architecturally, we always look at it as, all right, Donald Ross, when he built this golf course, the way he visualized everything was what he built and what he left behind. And so we think and the best way to honor him and to honor his architecture is to try to restore that vision as close as possible, knowing that we can't take every tree down on the property, but try to present the golf holes in the scale that he intended, meaning the width of the holes, the bunker locations, the green complexes, how they sit. When you think about a green complex that sits perched up on a ridge, you put a 60-foot tree behind it or around it, and all of a sudden that doesn't feel like it's perched on a ridge. It feels like it's shoved down into the ground by the trees. And so the scale and the presentation of the golf course, not only does playability change with what trees do, but the presentation changes. And we've just believed, and some people don't like this. I mean, they don't like cutting trees down. A lot of members don't, but we really feel it. And we're upfront about this with the membership is when we leave here, we want you to see the golf course as close to the vision of Donald Ross or A.W. Tillinghast. And that involves all that research, but it also involves a lot of tree removal frequently.
How good does it get, SK?
moved to Philly and been there for 33 years. All of our kids have been raised there. So while I can't say I'm native to the area, I think I've earned my stripes. And so it's a home game for us. It's a passion project because we really want to be able to give back to the area that has given so much to us, both through work, but also through education. I mean, Bill Kittleman was the longtime pro at Marion, and the things he taught us about Marion and just has been basically the building blocks for everything that Jim and I believe in. Pine Valley is the model from an aesthetic standpoint that we love, the sand and the scrub and the brush and just the presentation and the scale of it. So we have carried what we've learned in Philadelphia forward with us. And so when it comes to Cobbs Creek, we have a lot of historic documentation. Hugh Wilson, the designer of Marion, was the lead architect on it, but he also incorporated, he got George Crump, he got Tillinghast. He basically Crump got all these guys to come and consult at Pine Valley. Well, Wilson said, well, that turned out pretty good. Let's get all these guys to come.
All-star team. I love it.
Exactly. And consult at Cobbs Creek. And so we've looked at that. We're trying to faithfully restore as best we can, but we're also borrowing from Marion. Marion, like I said, the impact it's had on Jim and I has been probably bigger than any golf course. And Bill Kittleman's impact on us has been bigger than any mentor we've had. And so if we're going off script at Cobbs, it's going to be Marion focused. And we're going to try to make some of the things that we believe needs to happen to give the course a little bit more character, to make it a little bit more timely and challenging for today's day and age. We're going to incorporate elements of Marion into it, but it's going to be very recognizable as Cobbs Creek. And so, yeah, it's super exciting. I'm hopeful that during PGA Championship week, we can get some people out there. We can drum up some support. It's kind of fun. Not a lot of people have ever, see golf courses under construction. They think they just pop up magically. So you guys need to come over and we'll throw you in the dirt.
Charlie!
I think it's
pull
in
Charlie's
the
arm.
Works. Yeah, I think it might be in the works, and I think also we might try to get Smylie out there and play that 9-hole course. We got to we got to swing some clubs while we're out there.
Yeah, and it's amazing. I mean, Tiger's done work there on the 9-hole, the driving range. He's got his learning center. I mean, it's incredible. There've been so many of these wonderful feel-good stories. The park in West Palm Beach that we've been involved with, Maggie Hathaway in LA. It's great that a lot of people are seeing an opportunity to provide really quality places in inner cities for people to learn how to play the game and give them the support financially to make sure that they can continue to do so. And we're delighted to be involved at Cobbs. It's really a passion for Jim and I.
I can't wait to check it out, Gil. And I have one more question here. In regards to PGA Championship week, looking back at the 2018 BMW Championship, this would have been, I guess, a year after y'all's restoration. First off, about that BMW 2018, Keegan Bradley, Justin Rose going to a playoff. Keegan Bradley was victorious. What do you remember about how the golf course played at that BMW Championship? And what do you hope for it to play like this week for the PGA?
I remember playing very wet. I mean, it was wet out there, and those guys shot, what they do, right? I mean, the best players in the world. And like you said, two of the best, of this generation. And that I think is ultimately the testament for a great test of golf. If you get a great champion when they play out there. And I think, having those two guys go to a playoff was exciting. We've learned, and Kerry Hague is great at setup, is like, all right, we've channeled Donald Ross. We're trusting Donald Ross's instincts. We're trusting his design. And we're basically saying, okay, Kerry, we've trusted him. Here you go. And then Kerry's going to take it where he wants to take it. And so it's an interesting thing for an architect to learn. Our hands are off the wheel, right? I mean, we can talk to him, but Kerry's great at what he does. And so he's going to set it up. And then the other thing is the weather, right? I mean, if we get a really good, firm, dry week, John Goslin, the golf course superintendent, is amazing. That place is going to sing, and it'll be a challenge because I know the rough will be thick. And if they can get those greens where they're bouncy, I mean, Smylie, you know this. To defend golf courses, the best players in the world, there's two things that can do it, and that's thick rough and firm greens.
Yep.
They don't care about speed. I mean, those greens, if they get really speedy, they could get super scary because of the slopes in them, but it's firmness, right? And you guys work so hard your whole lives to basically get to a point where when you get over a shot, there's a predictable outcome, right? I'm going to hit this. Your caddy says, hit it this stock, whatever, whatever you guys say. I don't know that game, but you get to a place where you get that predictable outcome. Well, you get thick rough and you're not sure how the ball's going to come out. You get firm greens and you're not sure if it's going to bounce twice and check, or if it's not going to check at all. How do you play it? So when you have unpredictability, and wind is the other thing, if we can get it windy and firm, I think that golf course will be all that they can handle. If it's wet like it was, in 2018, then they're going to shoot really good numbers. And that's not a condemnation of the golf course. It's just that week. Right. I mean, everybody thinks you can kind of wave this magic wand and say, hey, we're gonna get the score to be what we want it to be. That doesn't happen. The weather and the conditions are ultimately what does it. And you got the best players in the world. They're going to play good if you give them good scoring conditions.
Gil, you are so great to take the time. I know this excites me greatly to see this Donald Ross Classic in action this week at the PGA Championship. Let's fingers crossed for some good conditions, and checking all the mini bunkers you reinstalled there and the creative look there. And Smylie looks like he wants to get in for one last.
I got one
here.
more. I can't let him leave without giving us a pick for who he thinks is going to win the PGA Championship. This is a no-brainer. Just to give you a quick update on the leaderboard from 2018. Just to give you a refresher, so Keegan and Justin Rose went into that playoff. Billy Horschel, Xander Schauffele at 3rd, Rory McIlroy at 5, and then Tiger Woods was in 6. I mean, I'd love for you to pick Tiger.
Do we have this right? I think, and again, wet conditions, but I think Tommy Fleetwood shot the course record that week. Do we have that right?
It very well could have. He's at
Tommy and Tiger might. Yeah,
he finished 4 back of the lead at 16 under par. So.
I mean, you look at all those names; they're great.
Stage is set. Who are you taking?
I'm taking Rosie. I know he loves the golf course. Hey, and he won his other major in Philadelphia, so he's got a little Philly magic going. And I do believe this, and I don't want to jinx him, but he's such a fine gentleman. I think the golf gods maybe owe him a little something. It'd be good to see one of the old. Well, he's not old compared to me, but one of the older guys go out there and win one. So I like Rosie.
Over the summer where there's drastic changes and gas drops down to $3 a gallon, $2.50 a gallon in some states, and then you have some of the price markets go down. You ride that momentum is what Joe's talking about. So if you say right now, which party will win the U.S. House, and you think it's the Republicans currently trading at 20%, you take them now, and if good press comes, that turns into 25% and 30%, then you have the option to cash out.
Prediction Markets Edge, only on SportsGrid.
There is a pick tonight that Gabe has that, to some degree, I find completely outrageous. Then I looked at it a second longer, and it might be a really smart angle.
I like to test them a little bit.
I like
to test them a little bit.
I like that a lot.
Oh, you don't know? You don't know this team name? You should. You're in the sports business.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Number one, who asked for this? Nobody, but nobody asked for a bump up in the number of teams in both the men and the women's basketball tournament from 68, including the 4 play-in teams, to 76. And by the way, it looks like it is a near-done deal. ESPN and ABC News reported this morning that's very close to being done. It could be announced by the end of this week.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Hello. This is the Smylie Show.
I haven't watched it in a while, dude. The intro kind of got excited about doing an evening pod here.
It gets the juices flowing. Yeah, it's nice to kind of. It's two things we haven't done in a while. It's watch the full intro, and second is a little late night stream. And
I know.
It's good. It's always good. We got some people in the chat who are already noting their appreciation. We want y'all to keep. Why not us, Charlie? Love that. So we got some people in there commenting. Just keep it coming.
That's actually us. That was us that said that.
I guess that was us. So I guess it was us saying why not us. It's a great start to the show. Technically proficient.
Jackson, did you make it to Philly? I assume the Smylie Show has to be Jackson.
Yeah.
Is he?
That is Jackson. He's in a hotel room in Philly.
Okay, so he made it in the hotel room.
We had an all-time fans of the show, viewers of the show know that we are. We're not a time zone pod, and we are also not a day of the week pod or date pod as well, because we I'm not going to get into the details, but effectively Jackson's just hanging out in Philadelphia alone tonight, thinking that he had a place to stay, and
he does technically. He technically does
have a place. He's not sleeping on the streets of Philadelphia that much. We wouldn't let him go that far.
I'd take a nap on a Philly cheesesteak.
Yeah. Just sleep in the airport. Golly, Smylie, what we got a lot to talk about, but I mean, I don't know where. How are you feeling?
Yeah. I got one thing I need to ask you, which is, did you have? Was it a men's league thing on Saturday?
It was.
What did you have at Hope Valley on Saturday?
Yeah. So we do like an old guys versus young guys Ryder Cup thing called the Suchat Cup. It's named after like one of the guys that is some sort of historical place at Hope Valley. And so you do 18 in the morning partnered, and then 9 singles match in the afternoon. So the first 9 is better ball, second 9's all shot, and the third 9 is just singles and just all match play. So we lost by a point. Man,
how'd you come out?
Wedge Shanks might be back. Just might be back. So here's the thing: we played so good in all shot.
I
played great in all shot. I won 1.5 points. We halved our first.
Okay.
We won our second, and I lost my singles match. But I'm tinkering with the putter.
How bad? When'd you shake hands in the singles?
I lost 3-2. Yeah, it wasn't good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yikes.
I won my match 4-3 last year, and I was like, I'm gonna kill it this year. And we scraped it pretty good there to have that first match, and then played great. But God, there were a couple of those where I really, I'm such an idiot. Like it was Thursday night, I played men's league, and I'm talking to my buddies, and I'm like, yo, figured out the wedge play piece. Like, let me show you all this releasing the head, chipping stuff, all this stuff, and then like no sooner do you get high on your horse, you get all this arrogance, and the golf gods are like, I don't like that. You're a 5.
Especially when you're telling everybody else how to do it. Next thing you know, you can't do it. And now you're in a predicament.
The first one was first fairway too. Just like striped a 4-iron, like nice high arc, get down there. And I think I had like a gap wedge or a pitching wedge. And I was kind of trying to like really kind of go down after it and release it. And that thing is
God,
right
I don't
at the maintenance
shed.
Right at the maintenance shed.
Oh,
3 total on the day.
Question: Did the old guys pick the date? Because doing it Mother's Day weekend is dangerous. Honestly, like a psychological good play by the old guys if they're the ones who planned it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they don't care about their wives or mothers anymore. I mean, they're just like.
I played golf Saturday and I feel terrible about it.
Yeah, I love the spin zone I saw from a lot of people on social media where it's like taking the kids out to play golf today so that. So that like my wife can get some time to hang out alone. I'm like, you just want to go play golf. You want an excuse to play golf on Mother's Day weekend. Let's not spin zone this thing too hard. But yeah, a Saturday night or Saturday all day golf thing. So Amanda was working
all day, so it's not like okay. So
So Amanda was working all day yesterday. So that was my one saving grace. Otherwise, I don't think I would have been able to play.
Okay.
And then we did stuff.
And your mom was in town.
My mom was in town, and my mom was she was on the island yesterday. 2-on-1. She asked for it though. So, that's what moms are for.
Did I tell you how to crack at 59?
You shot 62
I had
Old Barnwell. That's correct.
no. This was at Vestavia.
Okay, all right. Good golly. So you are golfing your ball right now.
Yeah,
Give me some round highlights.
I was 500 through 4, and then I had 17 greens, and I was really actually I putted unbelievable. Drove it well, but I needed a birdie the last 5, and I had 10 feet for eagle on 14, and that putt should have gone in. If it goes in, then I could go. I have a par 5, a short par 3, short par 4, and a par 3 of distance. It was like 175. I mean, I had one par and then birdie the rest of the way. 59's right there. So I mean, it was fun to be that many under. And honestly, I just showed up, and once I was that many under, I was like, gosh, I kind of needed to figure out how to get there. How do I get to 59 now? Tell you what, the juices started getting flowing there at the end.
We have an opportunity tomorrow. I think I'm excited for tomorrow because this is Jackson's return from his wrist ailments. Everyone in the comments tell Jackson how dumb it is to still be playing like fully physical contact sports as he approaches the age of 30. Jackson hurt his wrist playing flag football. Not sure why we're doing that, Jackson.
One of us.
Play golf all the time. We've had but Jackson's back out on the course tomorrow with us. I have a chance to kind of really rinse the wedge shanks off me, and you have a chance to break 60 tomorrow. A lot of storylines I'm playing for.
No, I'm not. It's going to be 60-degree high in Philly tomorrow. We're playing Trout National, which I'm really excited about. Yeah. And by the way, I know I already sent you this text, but really excited about the minivan we got for the week.
Excited about the minivan. Now, you said you were going to come with like an outfit. You have like can you tease the outfit a little bit?
Nope. Cannot do that. You just have to find our socials. I can't, Jack. I have to leave Jack's hanging here. He's got to see it tomorrow firsthand.
Is it okay? Are you prepping us because it's going to be like a ridiculous, like I'm from the South and I wear a bunch of bundled up stuff? That's
no, it's just a fresh fit.
Oh.
Jack's just the style. He's kind of the style man of the crew, or at least kind of the West Coast style. So we'll see.
Jackson's getting called a muppet in the comments. I was a little too harsh on the flag football thing. Jackson's an elite athlete that played for North Dakota State, so he was. It makes sense that he's playing football late in his life competitively. I just think he needs to come join us on team golf all the time. We don't want to worry about Achilles tendons, ACLs. Like there's a lot of bad stuff that can happen. That doesn't happen when you play golf. So. We have some intramural kickball people. We have a friend of the show who did his Achilles playing dodgeball at a company retreat recently.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Not a great scene. Not a good scene.
I know AV hurt himself in kickball as well. It's going around. If you're
can't wait
something
to see AV this week.
If you're something over 25, AV's gonna be he's getting in town Saturday, so he might have to make his first. He's gonna have to make his first debut on the show.
He can and he should. He needs to defend his. He's like the king of the Sung J M fan club, and I have a lot of. I'm gonna grill him on that. He needs to stand up for his guy and give us some answers. What's the deal?
Especially if he's playing good. We'll have to bring in our Sung J M correspondent.
Yes, that's right. God, I can't. You were so kind to host us tomorrow, Smylie. Fired up for Trout National. I really hope there's a trout themed head cover, and I guess we will have to document a little bit out on the course, huh? Give the fans a little bit of sneak preview.
I'm pretty sure Mike Trout's brother's playing Tyler, which is really exciting. I mean, dude, it's going to be a great day. Can't wait. It's the perfect way to kick off what is going to be an eventful week. So I'm excited.
And we now have someone in the comments saying they got a good cannoli spot for us. Yeah, put that in the chat. We love to pick up.
No, and this is John. This is this is John. This is my boy who lived up in Philly for about 6 years. Maybe it was longer than 6 years.
Okay,
could have been. Send it, John. Yeah, send the cannoli spot. Might as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to have it in play. Like in case we're having a craving for cannoli at some point in time, I'd like to know what it is.
Send me your favorite Philly cheesesteak spot, John, and we'll make sure to throw it in the garbage on the way out.
And thanks for the place to stay, John, as well. Let's talk some tour golf because we have to do that. This is what this show's all about, theoretically. Can I just give a shout out? Today I'm a proud Norwegian. I've been, I've really been feeling culturally fluid this year, Smylie. I had a Dominican phase for a while. One of our tournaments early in the year to Hope Valley, I played only Dominican songs, 10 songs on loop the entire time. I was doing like my little bacata dance around the course. Love that. I went through a Chinese phase as well. A lot of good stuff going on over there, including the cuisine. But I'm fully Norwegian. I actually am, by blood Norwegian here. We had Victor Hovland on the show at one point in time, talked to him about eating dried salted cod on Christmas Eve, a good Scandinavian tradition. And how about it? We've got quite a few Norwegian studs on tour now. Victor, of course. We have Chris Ventura, who was a runner-up at the Zurich with this week's winner, Kristoffer Reitan. And so Kristoffer Reitan gets it done as a rookie, first PGA Tour win at Quail Hollow. Here's where I want to start because this is, obviously we've seen his name pop up around the top of leaderboards the past few weeks, plays his way into this event. And then, if you look at his data golf profile, you're trying to kind of get a feel for what's this, he's got a big frame. He crushes it off the tee. He's a great putter. But you've obviously been out on tour this year, broadcasting, watching him play. Just give us like the scouting report on Kristoffer Reitan and like what people should be looking for. Wow, I just tongue twisted myself. Let me just backtrack and say, just give us a scouting report on Kristoffer Reitan.
Maybe you should start speaking Norwegian, and maybe that'll help you get to the end there. I mean, dude, you kind of nailed it there with Reitan. I've with this whole like DP World Tour top 10, the guys that come over. I have actually enjoyed watching golf in the fall, the DP World Tour, and sometimes you'll see players be at the top of the leaderboard of some of those events. You're like, oh, and you don't really know how to pronounce it. You're like, is it Reitan? Is it Reitan? What exactly is it? And we figured out at the beginning of the year, like we're doing all of the pronunciation of all the players, and like it's Reitan. But then like throughout the year, it was always like a running joke is that every week there was like a new pronunciation for his last name. And like we never exactly had it. And so I've been on different broadcasts with different producers, and they would go say, all right, over to 12, Reitan. second shot, and but like for the most part, like we're programmed that it was Reitan. So I think we've been on that side of the ship for a while, but there have been contradicting reports for a little bit on that. But I will say, of all the players coming from the DP, this is outside, of course, Alex Fitzpatrick, who was going to be a PGA Tour member at the end of this year if it weren't for, of course, winning at Zurich. And of course, we could definitely talk about how well he has played at this point. But I just really liked his golf swing. Technically speaking, you mentioned that he's a big guy, but he gets it into a lot of really good positions in the golf swing. You could tell that it kind of reminds me of Sam Stevens' golf swing a little bit. It's a fade by a swing, but he does it from a very nice position at the top of the golf swing. He hits it plenty far, like you said, but we've had so many worm cams of his putting stroke where I'm like, dude, this guy rolls it, man. And every single time we've had close-ups of it, it looks so good to my eye. And there's nothing that I've seen with his game that has alarmed me to this point. I felt like he was a player that was going to win. Did I think it was going to be at a signature event? No. I did feel like he was a candidate to win event, sometime in the summer. Especially just how he's played kind of up to this point, made a lot of cuts, found himself in the good half of on Sundays, as far as just later tee times, not necessarily contending at all, but really the Zurich Classic was, where it started kind of rolling for him a bit. Played well in Miami, and then, squeaked into Miami too. He got in because of withdrawal from a player late that got him in. He didn't even know that he was like close. I think he was second alternate. But man, what a performance. Just you're just hitting big shots, man, on a golf course that demands it.
Our strawberry blonde bearded producer says he also rates the Kristoffer Reitan strawberry blonde beard. So there's that. Another nice little feature for him. Yeah, on the putting, man, it is, I'll tell you what, from someone who's going through a tinker phase right now and going through multiple putters and just looking at how low to the ground the model he's using was today, just the end over end roll, there were a lot of putts that the one on 17 he needed to make.
Over the summer where there's drastic changes and gas drops down to $3 a gallon, $2.50 a gallon in some states, and then you have some of the price markets go down. You ride that momentum is what Joe's talking about. So if you say right now, which party will win the U.S. House, and you think it's the Republicans currently trading at 20%, you take them now, and if good press comes, that turns into 25% and 30%, then you have the option to cash out.
Prediction Markets Edge, only on SportsGrid.
There is a pick tonight that Gabe has that, to some degree, I find completely outrageous. Then I looked at it a second longer, and it might be a really smart angle.
I like to test them a little bit.
I like
to test them a little bit.
I like that a lot.
Oh, you don't know? You don't know this team name? You should. You're in the sports business.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Number one, who asked for this? Nobody, but nobody asked for a bump up in the number of teams in both the men and the women's basketball tournament from 68, including the 4 play-in teams, to 76. And by the way, it looks like it is a near-done deal. ESPN and ABC News reported this morning that's very close to being done. It could be announced by the end of this week.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
right? Is that the one that was no, it was 16. He hit in the bunker right on 16, then he hit it back green, just like a huge par save there. But
Reitan the one that drove it in the bunker and it like popped out of the bunker on 16.
Yes. The only
that's like
I saw,
that only happens when you win, right? I mean, come on.
Right. Yeah, and I think and on the flip side of that coin, we're talking about Alex Fitzpatrick more, but he had a couple tough breaks today. It was like something in the back of his swing on 3 that kind of got him. And
I wasn't watching at that point.
Yeah, and I think just in general, it seemed like he was wearing the pressure a little bit. But to be fair to him, when he spoke about it after the round, I believe with Rex Hoggard, he was like, "Hey, this is, I'm brand new on tour. Just won the Zurich because Zurich, Cadillac, and then this week is his 3rd start on tour. So
everything's new, man.
Yeah,
he's just like, whatever, I'm playing good. Confidence is high
for him to get used. But yeah, Reitan is a guy that just looks like he has." You just never know what you're getting with those 10 grads on the DP World Tour, why they're there, why they haven't made it, especially a guy that's 28 years old. And you think that someone like that would have made it to the PGA Tour already if he had the skill. I thought it was super interesting to hear a little bit about his background, where he gave up the game for 8 months and thought he was going to go play YouTube golf. And he spent a semester at the University of Texas at the same time that Scotty Scheffler was there. So just a unique sort of path to where he is, but a guy that just tool wise, it's like guys look good to get off the bus. Like he fits that mold. He looks like he could be a guy that could has some staying power building off this one.
Charlie, my question would be, is Kristoffer Reitan one of the last guys in the field, right? He's a player that's been playing well, and it's the whole model of the signature events is that I do like that players that are playing well and having success that tour season have an opportunity to get into these events. But now I think you can make the argument is, all right, how many Kristoffer Reitans are there that could potentially win a signature event? I think I had argued that there weren't many. It's like, how deep did you need to make the field to see who could beat Rory McIlroy, Scotty Scheffler at a signature event? I know Scotty wasn't playing this week, but the argument still stands of, how deep does it need to go? 120 seems to be the rumor right now of what the signature events are going to look like next year. And that number is going to be a better number because first off, I hate the whole no cut thing. I can't stand it. Cuts is a part of the PGA Tour. It needs to be there. But then I was like, is it, without the live guys, was it going to be deep enough to just add guys who had no capability of beating elite players? Not to say that any person that isn't in a PGA Tour 120-man field isn't elite, but do they have the capability of winning that event? I don't know. That would be the question, the argument that you would have to make. I'm all for more players having more opportunities, but at the same note in this, I'm like, how deep are you going to make this to where it just, gosh, I've kind of battled with that a little bit.
It's interesting. A lot of really good points in there, and I'd also be curious to hear what people in the comments feel about. I know there are a couple of recurring commenters that hate.
Did you like Reitan winning? Like, was that good for signature events?
I'm looking at these 2 back-to-back weeks, especially in the context of field size, where we have been, where we're going. I think the no cut thing is huge because for like, let's take the Cadillac for example. Cam Young starts running away with it. So you're losing interest at the top of the leaderboard.
Sure.
There is no like Friday afternoon, Friday evening cut sweat. What's that line going to, it's just, if you get started to where the storyline, you're lacking compelling storylines, it's just sort of a meh experience, just as a viewer, which is hard. I mean, I think there's obviously something, if you enjoy watching good golf and you want to, watch a guy like Cam Young go out there and just boat race the field, that's very cool to watch. But in terms of the excitement of a viewing experience, and then we fast forward to this week, and I think they get lucky a little bit with a crowded leaderboard where all of a sudden Ricky Fowler's in the mix.
Yeah, no, that was the story, right?
Yeah, and we got to talk about Ricky too. But there were a lot.
Ricky or Alex were the 2 names that I think if either one of those guys win, it was. I think the crowd would have probably been a little bit more into it on 18. It just felt kind of muted to me with a fairly big crowd at 18. And they were probably like a majority of these people, maybe 10 to 15% knew who Kristoffer Reitan was going into that day.
There were a couple people out there with Norwegian flags and scarves and stuff, which I
Yes.
enjoyed. But I mean, for me, it's and we compare this to, we talked about this last week after Cam won, is that the other tournament like this in the signature event era that I harken back to was at Quail Hollow. It was I think it was the Wells Fargo at the time, where Rory boat raced the field. Xander was the second place finisher, and at the time we talked about that. We said this is the problem with these 80 player fields. It's like if one guy pulls away, you just don't really have a chance to create compelling storylines going into the weekend. So this week, it just so happened there was a bunch of leaderboard, and they kind of get lucky there. But I mean, I'm even going down, like Tommy Fleetwood was in the mix for a little bit. Going into the JT had a look. Like there were a lot of guys that were
not necessarily on the weekend,
names.
But I see what you're saying. Yeah, like
just,
it was a mix of blended names of top, like Cam Young made his move, right? It felt like it was Cam Young's tournament to lose after Saturday, if you know what I mean.
We have a comment here from Shut Up and Fish 24. It says, it's interesting to me there weren't more big names leading today. Today was still fun with how many people had the chance to win. I want to talk about the course a little bit, Smylie, before we talk a little bit of Ricky and Alex Fitzpatrick. But when we did your crispy green ratings a few months back, Quail was on that list. And golly, it looked like today there were a lot of putts where guys were just breathing on the golf ball, or thought they had it read one way, went the other way, lip outs. Alex Fitzpatrick missed a couple of crucial putts earlier. I saw 2 4 putts in the span of like 30 minutes from Alex Fitzpatrick and Cam Young. Talk a little bit about what you saw on those greens today, and just in general, the experience of putting at Quail Hollow on a Sunday when it's crispy. I mean, it's got to be diabolical out there.
It doesn't take much out there. The greens, there's a lot of slope for the most part out there on most of these green contours. So you throw in a little wind, you throw in just a week worth of them cutting and rolling, double cutting, the whole deal. That'll get those greens really scary. When you get above the hole out there on there's so many different holes I can think of where it's just scary, man. You're just playing defense, and you can make a lot of putts out there because of it's a lot of planar putts where it's not a lot of double breaking. So it's why you see plenty of putts hold at Quail Hollow, but you also see the other side of it where guys potentially 4-putting. We saw a couple different one of those. Jordan did it once. Cam Young did it. It's totally in the cards out there at Quail. and all that.
Yeah, I'm told if you have like a credential, you can kind of go up the desk and they'll give you like $60 per media bag. So yeah, that's I think that's what we're gonna do. We're trying to hackle. I still have a lot of packing to do. Which is look at me, just play golf all Saturday and then did a half day Mother's Day on Sunday. So I gotta work and get ready to leave for a week tomorrow.
All right, can we set? The only thing I need to do is let's set over unders for Trout National tomorrow.
Over unders for Trout National. Okay. All right. So we start with Jackson.
Yeah, let's start with Jax. What is Jax? Is he a 7-6 handicap?
I thought he was like, I thought he was something like in the 6 to 8 range last time we talked. But he's also kind of coming off an injury. Do you know what the score to par is at Trout National?
I'm gonna go for Jax. I'm gonna go 83.5.
Oh, I like that. I think that's a good over under for him. Okay, we're not. Well, we could play the tips. 76 from the tips, 77 from the tips, 72 par 72. So depending on what, but I like if we're playing a more reasonable set of tees, I do like 83.5 for him, and I think I might take the under. He's Jack says with 6-7 here. That's his handicap. Okay, and then I'm like a 5 right now. I mean, I could show up tomorrow and play like a 2. I could show up tomorrow and play like a 10. I don't even know.
I have you at a hard 77.5 over under.
That's fair, very fair.
And I don't even know where to set mine because typically coming off of a really good round, it could go one way or the other. You know.
Do we know if it's an open course or if it's tight?
It looks pretty open.
Okay,
but I'm driving it good, dude. I feel great about the driver. But it's a little colder. New lines. I don't know. I think for me, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm setting my own over under at 71.5.
I was gonna say 70.5 and or 69.5.
I would take the over. Yeah, I would take the over.
I think you're breaking 70 tomorrow.
Okay, all right.
I think you're breaking 70 tomorrow. I think I'm gonna do my damnedest to break 75 tomorrow, but I think 77.5 is probably good. I think okay, this is our show goal. Ready? You break 70, I break 75, Jax breaks 80. That's our Trout National goal tomorrow. If we can all do that, I think all of us leave happy.
And it just doesn't make sense. Like I legitimately had a chance to shoot 59 yesterday, and I'm like worried about like, gosh, am I gonna break that 77.5 thing that Charlie was just talking about? Like, what golfing minds make zero sense. It's
the dumbest game. Like it was funny after this deal this weekend where, I think everyone like Amanda was asking me about the round and she's like, "Ooh, he didn't play good." She's like, "We put my like gentle kid gloves on." I'm like, I'm really not that upset about it because I was like this much away from being 1 over through 12 holes at Shinnecock Hills like just days ago.
Oh, hold on. Don't spoil that.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Don't spoil it. I don't know anything about shitty.
It's gonna be a roller coaster ride. That's another tease for you all.
Yeah, we got to catch up on that this week.
I played Shinnecock Hills at US Open Media Day, and
did I miss out? That's all I need to know.
I hate to say it, but I think you did, man. Man, that's one of my instant favorite. As a guy who thought between the two that National was going to be the one that I adore National, but like Shinnecock was like, and it was blowing 25 to 40. I was having the time of my life out there. But it wasn't
media day to be like my first experience. I wanted it to be like the full.
The pace of play was great. We hardly ever waited. Like the guys from No Laying Up were out there. Gabby Herzig was out there. It really wasn't. I was worried about the same thing you were worried about. But they and JJ Spawn did some Q&A. They had a great lunch. We ate lunch on the back deck of the clubhouse in Shinnecock, catered by their staff. And guess what?
You get a nice lemonade,
buddy. They served the classic Shinnecock Hills South Sides to the media.
Love it.
It was delightful. Shout out to the USGA, man. A-plus media day. So stay tuned for that on the channel. We're doing a film room of that. All right, that's plenty of streaming for tonight.
The Skims a boy. You weren't here at the beginning. I shot 62 yesterday. Humble brag.
It was good. It's real good. What time's our tea time tomorrow?
12:45, give or take. I don't know.
All right, good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sleep on the plane. Get caffeinated as soon as I land in Philadelphia. We're gonna get after it. Okay. Well, that's all we got for now, Smylie. Unless you have any final comments, I'm gonna hit the outro thingy.
Hit the thing.
Hit the thing.
We'll see you next week on the Golf Channel. This has been The Smylie Show.
We are going to be strapped with a whole lot of bad football, watching mediocre teams that have absolutely no business in the postseason getting blown off the field by the elite heavyweights, all for our viewing pleasure. They are even willing to trample right over the historic Army-Navy game, which apparently, we'll figure out at one point where we can play this game.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
I don't blame David Stearns at all for looking at the team and saying, hey, look, with this high payroll and with all the players we have, Donnie, they have not won anything. They did not even get in the postseason last year. So they're like, all right, let's break it up and try something new. But their new plan has not worked. It doesn't look good on paper. It doesn't look good in the standings. Even if the Mets were to play okay the rest of the season, I think their season is a wrap.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Hey there, it's your buddy Craig Carton. If you're trying to find out how to get all the great content that me and Tyrone Johnson give you every single day, here's Tyrone to tell you how.
You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and of course, Amazon Music as well. We're at all four.
That's right. It's the Craig Carton Show podcast every weekday morning live at 11, replayed at noon on YouTube and on SportsGrid throughout the country. Check it out.
Betting growth was up about 40% year over year in March. So some of that obviously was the NCAA tournament, but a lot of that is because DraftKings and FanDuel were coming to town and bringing a lot of money with them. It was about $87 million was bet in the month of March, which is not only a March record, but it's a record for Arkansas in general. And it was really interesting to note too, DraftKings and FanDuel were only active for about 12 days.